I like that because I know you, and public speaking or sharing messages and devotions, they're not your strongest suit. That's not where most of your talent comes from. How do you find yourself moving into that? And how daunting is it now compared to back then?
Yeah, so it's not as daunting now. I have gotten a lot more comfortable with it, definitely compared to back then. And like you said, it's not my forte. I'm a background ministry worker. I like helping, setting things up, those kinds of things. But at the same time, God has given me these challenges, and I've enjoyed them. Like, we're not going to all love everything we do,
Hmm.
and I don't love the speaking part of it, but I do really enjoy the preparing, and especially like coming up with points that I know are going to hit home, especially with teams.
Yeah, 100%. Do you find yourself, it's a cliche question, but I'm going to ask it. Do you find yourself learning more doing it that way?
100%. It's true what they say. When you're preparing a lesson, you learn more than what you share. Because as much as, what's the statistics for it? There's a certain percentage that you remember of what you read, a certain percentage of what you hear, and then a certain percentage of what you see, sorry.
So
I can't remember what they all
I'm
are.
pretty sure it's 10% of what you hear, 20% of what you read. I think it's 50% of what you see, and then another 50 of what you do.
Yeah, that's right, I do. So there's those things.
Something like
But my
that.
point is, from
Hey,
them
we got you
hearing it,
back.
oh yeah, has it
There
been
we go.
gone that long?
Yeah, finally.
Wow.
All right. Yeah, sorry. Yeah, from there.
Yeah, yeah. So they remember a certain percentage of what they hear from me, but I remember everything I prepared. So I'm getting so much more out of it than they are. But I just hope they're still getting something.
And how do you find your relationship with the teens now? Well, how do you keep those relationships growing with the teens, so that you can be an influence in their life?
Well, usually we have, our regular routine services. I'll get to see them on Sunday morning, some of them at night, and then but Friday nights we have our epic group where we're in a room, get to speak to them, do some games, have some fun. But COVID's really messed that up for us. So I haven't actually. We have a really good WhatsApp chat with the teens where we get to interact with them a bit, but it's not the same as seeing them. So I feel like I haven't connected with a lot of them in a while.
Yeah, this is really hard, eh? This whole COVID situation. It's really put a dampener on a lot of the things that we do.
Yeah, for
Um,
sure.
okay, so Epic is running pretty strong. You're pretty happy with how things are sort of going for the most part, COVID unrelated.
Yeah, well, even in COVID, we've picked up what we did last year, where we do Zooms on Friday nights. And again, I did a couple of talks last year on Zoom. I hated it because I feel like I was talking into a void where you have no feedback. You can't even see some of their faces because they don't want to put their camera on. But we've done that again this year, and I've actually been more comfortable. I did a talk a couple of weeks back, and I feel like I was able to get a bit more engagement. And it's the best we can do. We try to do some games on there,
Mm.
just as much as we can do to still be able to connect with the teams in this situation. But outside of it, yeah, back in the room, we had a great vibe going. We had a full room again, and it was awesome.
What do you find the biggest challenge to be in a youth ministry? That's a loaded question.
That was very low. I don't know where to
Sorry,
go with that.
came out of nowhere. But like, if someone's trying to come into youth ministry or someone wants to be a part of a youth ministry, what's your one thing that you're telling them, not as a warning, but just so that they're prepared? Look, you're going to come in here and
There's always eyes on you,
okay.
and you'd think that it's just the teens, and they are definitely on you, but I kind of think everyone kind of has. There's that added pressure because it's such an important ministry, and there's such a what's the word? Not fragile. Like, it's a foundational time for these guys because once they step out of Epic, they're adults and they're in the real world, and that's when it's on them to make decisions for the rest of their life, what they want to do. So we're shaping that, and so you have their parents watching you to see what their kids are seeing because they're looking up to us. So you got their parents, you have obviously pastor, you have other leaders, and then everyone in the church kind of thing. Because there's basically a spotlight on us to see the life that we're putting on in front of these teens, I feel.
Yeah, 100%. I think you hit the nail on the head there, man. That is probably the hardest thing about being in ministry in general is constantly having to be that testimony and to be that example. Um,
Mm.
because I think sometimes we underestimate how much our personal lives can impact someone.
And that's not necessarily a bad thing either.
No, not at all. No,
It's almost a good pressure. Yeah.
it's a great pressure. It just
It keeps you
shows,
accountable.
it keeps you accountable, and it shows the responsibility on your shoulders
Mm.
for
And how
sure.
seriously you take that.